Final segment of the day is we'll go into fraud or for real.
Ooh.
Fraud or for real. We've done this before. It's not love it or hate it. It's not buy or sell. It's fraud or for real today. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about college basketball teams. We have yet to do this one. So let's dive right in. Let's just jump right in. Swan dive in. And we'll start off with the one that you guys all want to talk about. Fraud or for real? Purdue Boilermakers. Ellie De La Rue.
I hate it. I think Purdue is a fraud year in, year out. They've lost 3 straight times. 3 consecutive tournaments they've lost to a seed that's higher than 10. How many times are you going to buy into this team? Zach Edey, I'm trying to make a comparison to the NFL. I don't know if I'm going to find it. But again, Zach Edey and Purdue, they're very good in the regular season. Very, very good.
Ravens.
But when it matters most, they choke every single time. I will not buy them. I will not buy them. And ever, under any circumstance, will this team get to a Final Four? I'm going to say Matt Painter and the Purdue Boilermakers are going to get bounced in the first weekend again. Sell.
I don't know if they're going to get bounced in the first weekend, but I have to agree with Elliot on this. There's just something wrong with this team that they've been bounced. You said 3 times in a row?
3 straight times.
Maybe it just depends on where they fall, because if they end up being like it probably won't happen.
They're going to be 1 seed. They're going to be 1 seed.
They're going to be a 1. Yep. So
Well, if they keep losing.
They will not keep losing.
Here's my opinion. And I'm going to do the complete opposite of what I've done with the Dallas Cowboys. I've said for the longest time, hey, I'm done giving any credence to the Dallas Cowboys. That's your bet. That's your NFL comparison is the Dallas Cowboys.
That's fair.
I am going to say they're for real. It just seems mathematically unlikely that they lose to a double-digit seed again. Now, the benchmark I'm going to give the Purdue Boilermakers is the Elite Eight. If they don't get to the Elite Eight, I was wrong. If they get to the Elite Eight, I was right. So I'm going to say they're for real. If you're one of the final 8 teams in the league, in the country, you're for real. You're for real. So I'll say for real. All right. We'll stay here in the Midwest, go a bit south to Lexington. Kentucky Wildcats, frauds or for real?
I'm actually right now going to say that they're for real. I think when it comes time for March Madness, it's about who can score the most points, not as much of can you play the best defense. I think it's more about points, less about defense. They can score all the points. They can score at will. They can drop 95 a game. I actually buy this team. A lot of people are going to write them off. They're going to say Cal should be fired, as every Kentucky fan says every year, every single season. Right now, I think they're for real. I think you're going to get a good spot where they're probably a 6 seed or something around that nature. And if you get that, I think you're going to make a run. I buy in. I'm buying in. I'm loving Kentucky.
What are you loving them as? Elite Eight?
I think they'll get to a Sweet 16 for sure.
Yeah, I think they definitely make it Sweet 16. I'm not sure if I'm confident enough to say Elite Eight. I'm just looking at their schedule this year. They lost to Gonzaga by 4, lost to Florida by 3. Tennessee was a shootout, 103-92. If you get into their style of play, majority of the time, they're gonna probably outscore you. So it's really about who they're playing. Is it a team that can keep up with them? Then they're going to be in trouble. If it's a team that can't keep up with them, I think they just outscore them every single time.
Yeah, listen.
Every time.
Paul convinced me on this as someone who watches a lot more college basketball than I will ever probably watch. Paul would say, listen, when you get in the tournament, scoring's what wins. I mean, you look at even the Xavier Musketeers. They scored a lot, didn't play great defense, made the Sweet 16 last year. You fall in love with these defensive teams. Houston, they just mug you. I mean, if you watch that game last night against Iowa State, they were just mugging the Cyclones, just mugging them. But you get to the tournament, and all it takes is one plucky team to hit a couple shots, and they're right in that. Kentucky can put the ball in the hoop. They're for real.
If this bracket, and again, this is just Joe Lunardi. I know everybody hates on Joe Lunardi. If this bracket, his projected bracket right now is correct, I would bet a large future on Kentucky. As of right now, again, doesn't mean anything. 5 seed, they play South Florida. South Florida's been very good. I'd take Kentucky. They take the winner of Akron and San Diego State, Mountain West. We'll move Kentucky on. From the other side to advance to the Final Four, you'd either play Purdue or Texas. Fraud. So I think Kentucky would then go to the Final Four and they'd win. I could be wrong. Joe Lunardi could be wrong. But as of right now, that's what I'm basing it on.
All right. We'll go up to Wisconsin. Marquette, or as I like to call them, Marquette. The Marquette Golden Eagles, fraud or frill. I'll start it off. I think they're the third best team in the Big East. I don't think they're the second best team. I think for some reason, Creighton's going to finally get over that hump and get to the make a deep run. I know they made it to the Elite Eight last year. Don't be surprised if Creighton makes it all the way to the Final Four. They might get a big win tonight. But as for Marquette, it's hard to gauge how people think of them, right? You look at the AP, they were top 5 just last week. Then they just get massacred by UConn. But similar to, like I say about teams that play Patrick Mahomes, the Kansas City Chiefs, I'm not going to belittle teams that get blown out by UConn. UConn, other than a month last year, they're on a historic 2-year stretch. They might go back-to-back. Marquette, I'll say bounces early in the tournament. Frauds.
UConn is a wagon. I fully understand that. But it's hard for me to take you seriously if you're losing by 30-plus points to a team. That is a team that you're going to need to probably beat to win it all. And again, it seems like they've had some of these games. They lose to Wisconsin by 11. They lose to Providence by 15 points. You have these games where you're losing at a significant rate. You're just getting kind of blown out a little bit. And it happens. It's college basketball. It's a long season. But it seems to me like Marquette's fraudulent. I'm going to say they're fraudulent. I'm going to hate it. I'm going to sell it. I'm all out on Marquette. I think they're a good team. I think if they're able to play consistently, at least the way that's gotten them into a top 10 ranking up until this point. If they're able to do that consistently in the tournament, they'll be great. I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to be shocked in the first round.
Yeah, losing to our number one fraud, Purdue, I think says a lot about what Marquette is. I think that they are like a good team in the regular season. I think last year they made it to the Sweet 16? Were they close, or did they get bounced in the first couple rounds too?
I forget.
I think last year they
Creighton,
only
they
made it to the third.
Yeah, I think they were in the Sweet 16. There's a lot of Big East teams in the Sweet 16.
Yeah, so
Creighton, Xavier.
I mean, I think
UConn.
that they can maybe make it there, but that's gonna be a stretch this year. I don't know. I'm gonna sell it.
Sell
I'm a
it.
fraud.
He sells it.
Sell. All right. Hate it or love it.
Hate it.
What's awesome about Elliot is that when you give him when you push against one of his segments, he just leans into it all the way. We're gonna bring back a Draft or Die, which was Trace's beloved segment,
Yeah, we'll do that.
which was a good one. It's a good one. Draft or
Die.
That's going to be the cherry on top. We're going to run that.
draft, die. All right. Big 12, Kansas Jayhawks, frauds or for real. It's hard to call a team that has had as much success as the Kansas Jayhawks a fraud. But I watch them play, and I don't think that they are going to be one of the final 8 teams playing, and which is where I'm putting the benchmark on the fraud or for real. I don't think they're going to be one of the final 8 teams. Fraud.
I'm starting to believe you. I'm a big Kansas fan when it comes to March. I think if you're looking at teams that play their best when it comes time for the tournament, you're looking at Tom Izzo, you're looking at Bill Self, and I think Kansas is elite. But saying that, I think they are going to be fraudulent. I think you're going to want to sell it, and you're going to want to hate it because again, you lose by 30 to Texas Tech. You've lost to Kansas State. The Bearcats, who God love them, God bless the Cincinnati Bearcats, but that was a game. At home, you almost lost to the Cincinnati Bearcats. I think the Bearcats are fine. I think they're borderline a tournament team. But saying all that, it just seems like they don't have it. Something seems different this year with the Kansas Jayhawks. They lose to UCF. You lose to Iowa State. Iowa State's very, very good. You lose to West Virginia.
Yeah, that's a bad one.
So I don't know. I think this team has lost so many games this year that you wouldn't normally think that they are capable of losing. That I think you can't buy in on them. You can't buy in on Kansas this year.
I don't know if that's a case of like them being frauds or them just playing to their opponents because they whooped up on Houston. I mean, they lost Marquette. I just called them a fraud, but like they
Hey, don't get wrapped up in the circular logic that we're doing here.
I don't know. I feel like for me, Kansas is just playing to their opponents. That's how I feel.
It's a tough conference.
They're not playing. They're not always playing to what they're what they should be, as good as they should be. They're playing down to their opponents, or they're playing up to their opponents. That's how I would describe the Kansas Jayhawks.
All
So
right.
I'm gonna buy, because when it comes down to it, they're gonna.
He's gonna love it.
I'm gonna love it. I'm gonna love it.
By the way, Marquette Golden Eagles did not make the Sweet 16 last year. They got bounced in the second round by Michigan State.
Izzo.
That's what I thought.
January, February, Izzo.
Yep, they were the 2 seed. All right, the final team that we're going to talk about, a couple conferences. Final team we're going to talk about, Dayton Flyers. What do you think about a team from the A-10? They're going to get a good seed. Can they get to a Sweet 16? Am I buying? Am I selling? Do I love them? Do I hate them? Are they frauds? Or are they for real? Dayton Flyers, I think they play too slow. Frauds.
I'm selling too. And this is with love and respect, but if you're gonna give Dayton a 5 seed, which I think is what you're giving them right now, I'm gonna take the other team, whoever they're playing. It doesn't really matter to me. Again, this is no knock on Dayton. It's a knock on their terrible conference that is the A-10. So Dayton, fraudulent, hate it, sell it, get rid of it.
Casey Room.
Yeah,
Dayton, by the way, Dayton is projected to play I Will Wade for you and McNeese State. So 5 versus 12, I would hammer Will Wade.
Yeah, I'm
you-
with you guys.
Did you sprinkle in a
I think that
Mumford
they
and Sons
just.
reference?
Huh?
Did you sprinkle in a Mumford and Sons reference?
I will wade for you.
Nice.
I don't think that this is a legit team.
We're all selling. We all
Sell.
hate it. We're all frauds.
I think they should just play Xavier every single game, every single season.
Don't put me in that corner. The Mountain West, fraud or for real?
Fraud.
For real. For real. That's a
Fraud.
good conference.
We should get Spur. We should
They
call.
went to
can
the
we video
championship
message-
last year.
Can we video message Spur, see if he can come on and tell us why the Mountain West is such a fraudulent conference? I do agree with him, though. It does seem like if it's not San Diego State, it's nobody. And for that reason alone, I'll say fraud. I'll say I hate it. And I'll say that, what's the other one? Sell it. I'll sell it.
We got to sprinkle in a new one somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Aztecs, they did really, really well last year. I
Correct.
believe.
San Diego State's good.
Yeah, they're really good. I don't know how I feel about the rest of them, and I don't understand it, because they don't play. They don't play anyone, right?
They play each other.
They play each
That's how
other, and
conferences
that's
work.
all that.
They play a bunch of trash.
I don't know.
Listen, they're fine. They're fine. Over under 4.5 wins in the tournament.
I can't
for
wait.
Mountain
I
West.
can't wait to fill out a bracket and take the 12 seed that plays Dayton. I cannot wait. Mortal lock.
Is it going to be like last year when everyone took Oral Roberts to beat Duke?
Yes.
Mouth Bobs.
I took Farley Dickinson.
Did you really?
Yes. I put only $1 on it, but I had a feeling Purdue, because I knew Purdue what they do. They come into the tournament and they lose.
Love that.
I
What was the money line, like 30-1?
it wasn't that bad actually. I think it was maybe plus 2,800 or something like that. I could be wrong.
Huh.